Hello and welcome to Hey, I Loved That Movie, the podcast where we rewatch the films we loved when we were younger to see if they still hold up. I'm Dan.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Helena.
And for this episode we have special guest, it's Elle from Check This Out.
Hello!
Welcome. What movie have you chosen for us today?
I have inflicted upon you the cult horror sensation that is Critters 2, the main course.
So, Elle, what sort of nostalgia do you have for this movie? Because, if I'm honest, I hadn't even seen Critters 1, let alone Critters 2, so...
As far as I can tell, and my memory is not good, I will point that out first, but as far as I can tell, this is about the first VHS copy of a movie that I remember being allowed to choose for myself.
Oh, wow. They really threw you in at the deep end there.
Yeah.
But it's like, why on earth would you pick a sequel for a horror movie that is not age appropriate? Well, on your own head be it.
So I was wondering, so how old were you when you watched this? And also, did you watch it before watching Critters 1?
Oh yeah. This was, I think, maybe my even introduction to horror as a genre. I would have been 6 or 7.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, we're in Mikey territory for disturbing childhood horror movies. Okay. Yeah, this is quite intense for 6.
Yeah, but I can tell that it has left scars. That's the important thing to know. If you know where they are, that you can help. Yeah.
Are you now really scared of Easter?
No, but I still have, to this day, a mild discomfort with leaving space under the bed.
Oh, okay.
And fair. That a lot of horror films will get you that if you watch them early.
Yeah.
I'm just lazy and it's where I put stuff.
Yeah.
Well, my current bed frame has absolutely no space for anything to crawl in underneath, but it does have rolling drawers for storage anyway.
But they could get in the drawers.
Only if they're open first.
Yeah, you'll hear them.
Yeah, monsters can't open drawers, so you're fine.
No, they'd eat their way through them, for sure.
And then you'd pull the drawer open and it would springbox out at you like a spring-loaded cat.
Yeah.
From a fridge.
It's also weird, this one, because it's so much more open world, I guess, than the previous one, because that was a lot more contained. I did see it after the fact, but yeah.
So I haven't watched Critters 1 or any of the other Critters films apart from Critters 2, the main course. But I did watch a bit of the behind the scenes where they talked about how, it was supposed to be a wider scope, this film. It's sort of set across the whole town and there's lots more characters.
Yeah, because in the first one, it is literally the main kid and his family home, whilst bounty hunters are just going through the town causing ruckus.
I think I might have seen the first one now you've explained it.
Were you 6?
No, I was real young. I watched it at a sleepover, I think.
This does have sleepover vibes. This is the kind of film that's kind of naughty enough, scary enough that you wouldn't want, your parents would probably not let you watch it.
Your parents might not.
Oh, no, this would, my
fine.
mum would have looked at the front cover of this and been absolutely not.
Yeah.
Apparently they were aiming for a PG with this film.
Were they?
But
how? When?
Oh boy. I can think of several reasons why that wouldn't fly.
Yeah, how do you get this film? What was in this film before that they were like, no, that's too much for a PG? What do they think the PG is?
Yeah, considering what's left in is a lot of blood and some bare tits at one point.
Yeah, it's got a 15. But they were aiming, when they were writing and shooting it, they were aiming for a PG. He says it in one of the directors says it in an interview.
They just couldn't help themselves.
Yeah, then they're like, oh, now let's put in some porn star tits.
Because before that, it was a PG. Like, the blood and gore is fine as a PG, as we've discussed before.
Yeah.
But tits, 15.
Well, yep. Oh, it's so weird. This film is wild if you haven't seen the first one.
I don't feel like I got less out of it for not having seen the first one, though. Like, they tell you the plot of the first one pretty early on. I did like the joke about how the kid, who was like, oh, just stay away from the Brown family, which one just came across as really racist. But then, he actually is Bradley Brown, isn't he?
Yeah.
I only remember his name because of my favourite line in this whole film, when the critters are attacking his grandma's house. And he's like, the critters are back, and she's like, no shit, Bradley.
That's the character.
But yeah, so the plot loosely.
Such as it is. It does tie into the prequel, I guess the original of the quadrilogy, whatever it is. That's five movies in the TV series, bizarrely.
Septology?
Where the Krites, which are the critters, but no one ever calls them that, they escape from prison and land on Earth because they're just looking for food. And then it's just through circumstances, kid saves the day. Charlie, the sort of assistant farmer, ends up going to space because no one else bothers with him. But they leave behind eggs. And that's where, you get your big sequel bait.
Yeah.
And then this follows on from that, where it's just like, oh, here are these eggs that we found. Oh, it's cold in here. Well, now we'll put them somewhere warm. That's not a bad idea at all.
Especially considering they're meant to be they think they're Easter eggs because it's Easter now.
Yeah.
They'd melt.
Well, they thought they were decorative eggs, didn't they? Not I don't think anyone thought they were chocolate.
They were from Europe.
Yeah. Some magical stranger made decorative Easter eggs and left them in a town.
Specifically the haunted farm that no one talks about. Apparently space monsters visited. Ooh.
Some European went to this American town,
laid some eggs,
made some decorative Easter eggs, left them there, and then went back to Europe. Filled them with green goo.
I mean, is that more or less plausible than the plot of Critters 1?
More plausible.
I mean, I don't know many Europeans. I assume they lay eggs.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Have you not seen Chicken Run?
Not recently.
Can confirm.
European. This in my mind is currently a sequel to Chicken Run.
No sequel. Oh, horrifying.
Oh, to be fair, Critters but stop motion clay animation.
That would be
Would be pretty cute.
But made by the same people that made Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
That that'd be great. Oh, that'd be amazing. Instead, we got nightmare fur creatures.
Well, are they nightmare fur creatures, or are they kind of cute puppets and then tumbleweeds?
They are pretty cute. In my head, before when I was watching this, I was like, I can't remember off the top of my head what critters actually look like. And in my head, they were almost that, but they were purple. I don't know why.
I mean, this is sort of not a rip-off, but it is like a creature feature, Gremlin
style sort of thing. Yeah.
Riding on the coattails.
I think a few people have pointed out at the time that, oh, you're just cashing in on Gremlins, and the directors were like, no, we're not. Shut up.
I'm surprised the directors of this movie didn't go, yes, we are. Now let us make this
film. How we got this film funded.
Yeah. This film feels like it's going, yeah, this is a Gremlins ripoff. Fight us.
I mean, I also ran the numbers on this. The original one had a budget of $3 million and made $13 million.
Oh, okay.
This one had a budget of $4 million and made $3 million.
Oh, no.
And yet didn't kill the franchise.
Yeah, somehow they still got 3 more sequels and a TV series.
It's pretty wild that it cost them £1 million, and they're still like, yeah, well, if at first.
Well, it's because in the third one, they managed to get the first acting role of Leonardo DiCaprio. He's in Critters 3. That's his first acting role.
I don't know what it is about cheap horror movies and unearthed stars, but yeah. It's just like Johnny Depp's first ever movie appearance is in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, exactly.
Scott Grimes has the most... I just recognise him. And I was looking at what he's been in, and it's not some stuff that I have seen a lot of, but...
Scott Grimes, is he the guy that plays Bradley?
Yeah.
He looks like the kid from Spy Kids.
He does, but...
He does.
Sort of a slightly more polished one. He's less baby fat. So the plot of Critters 2, because we've sort of done everything but...
Because there isn't one. Do any of us remember the plot of Critters 2?
I've got some... Asking?
They find the eggs hatch. Oh shit, critters. Yeah. Bounty hunters come back. One turns into a porn star, and then they find the critters and blow them up, but then they have to blow... they can only blow up so many at a time. There's loads of them, and they lure them to a hamburger factory and blow them up.
Ooh, done.
There was a couple of moments that stood out to me that I wanted to mention. So there's a bit where Brad gets in a fight with some guy in a diner.
Oh, yeah.
And as the guy throws Brad out the door, you just hear the worst voiceover line of, somebody call the sheriff. And it's just so badly done.
I think that was the nerdy guy at the counter.
Yeah,
trying to remember.
That guy was just the most annoying character.
He had a very punchable face.
He did. I'm pretty sure he's the true enemy of this movie.
He was irritating because he was never given. Was he ever given a name? Did they ever call him anything, or was he just
he's
there?
just the I can't remember the name of the actual restaurant, but he's just the manager of that restaurant.
Hungry Heifer.
Yes, the Hungry Heifer.
Hungry Heifer manager. That's what he's credited as.
Was
I feel
he,
like if you checked his basement instead, you'd find something very different to eggs.
Was he just... Do you reckon he was just an extra and they were like, you're like a big enough personality, you can have more lines? Because that's the vibe I got from him as a character. Was like, that's just how that guy acts, and they were like, yeah, you're like a big enough personality.
It kind of strikes me as like the guy who has had some minor roles but never any breakout success and keeps trying to sneak onto movie lots.
He's done a lot of voice work.
Yeah,
like
he
lot.
Has a distinct voice.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Not broken out so much. He's done a lot of TV actually, but a lot of kids shows but big kid shows like Dexter's Lab and Kim Possible.
Wow.
He was uncredited, but he was in Fairly Odd Parents movie.
So second film got Leonardo, third film got Leonardo DiCaprio, this film got this guy.
Yep.
Wait, are you saying Critters 2 isn't the star launching engine that they promised?
Well, did they promise that to anyone? Because if they promised
probably.
that to anyone, they lied.
I don't recognise any other names in this.
No, I have no idea who anyone in
You
this
won't.
movie is.
No. This is why horror films, like, there are so many breakout stars from B-rated horror movies, because they just made so many of them.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a scattergun approach. You're going to get one or two actors that go on to be famous and never talk about these films. Because I don't think I've ever heard Leonardo DiCaprio be like, oh yes, my famous first movie, Critters 3.
So, Roxanne Kernahan, the girl that is the shape shifting.
Yeah, because the bounty hunters are shapeshifters. Yeah.
One of them is. The other one, I think, is just.
No, they can
No,
both.
they can both do it. That's a big part of. That's a big important part of the.
That was the plot twist that made me go, oh, actually, this movie's really just won me over. I don't know why.
That's from the first one as well, because the one that is a blank head at the start just can't pick a disguise because it's like nothing feels right. Whereas the other one who starts off human in this one is Johnny Steele, the rock star, apparently. Not a real character, but just like, yeah, I'm watching TV to blend into Earth. Oh, this guy's popular. I will be him.
He has got a certain 80s vibe about him.
Oh, yeah.
This whole movie does.
Oh yeah, it was made in the 80s.
Yeah, of course.
Weirdly,
But...
I think I know where it gets that vibe from, guys.
So Roxanne Kernahan has some great credits to her name.
I'll bet.
So after being Lee in Critters 2, she then is lead hooker from Not of This Earth, and then in Angel 3, the final chapter, she is the white hooker.
Fair enough.
People gotta get jobs.
Yeah.
Actors gotta get jobs.
And hey, if you fit a typecast role, you might as well.
Well, yeah. She then sort of stars as herself in quite a few things as well.
Yeah.
I bet.
So the only reason she's in this film, and this is where it's like when you said, "Oh, it was meant to be PG." How? Because the only reason the reason she's in this film is one of the shape-shifting, the alien that keeps shape-shifting, the bounty hunter that keeps shape-shifting, tries to turn into the human guy, because it's two aliens and a human who are bounty hunting. I assume the human is from the first film.
Yeah,
because they seem to...
And had a drinking problem from the sound of things.
The alien starts to transform into him, and he holds up a Playboy magazine, and so she turns into the centerfold, which is that woman. And there's like, for some reason, there's nudity there. It's really bizarre and really out of place. Well, it's not out of place. It's an 80s action horror movie.
Yeah. There's sudden nudity, and then in the next scene, she somehow got an entire custom outfit as well.
Yeah, that was strange. I did see when she was in like the leather thong. I was like, oh, okay, so I guess we're going to be seeing a lot of ass for the rest of the movie. But then, yeah, she's pretty covered up for the rest of it, in rags. But yeah, it was like, oh, okay.
That really can't be comfortable to shift into that, let alone to wear it all.
And he doesn't. The robot, not robot. The alien doesn't stay like her forever. The robot change. Not robot. The alien changes into the manager.
A load
for
of different
bit.
people. Yeah.
but keeps trying to change into Charlie.
Tried to change into Freddy, and Charlie's like, no, don't do that. Turn back into this woman. It's weird. That whole thing is so bizarre, and I feel like it makes more sense if you've seen the first one, but it feels kind of out of place.
Yeah, it feels really weird.
It doesn't really make sense on just the first one, but with the context that the second one gives you, it's like you're trying to find an identity that is comfortable and that fits.
Right.
It's surprisingly deep for this kind of movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, you're not wrong, actually, especially this kind of movie in the 80s.
It's just like, hey, you want to be a woman? Yeah, cool. You feel good like that? Awesome. We're not going to question it.
Yeah.
But also, I did like the... Yeah, he wants to turn into Freddy Krueger, and he's like, no, and holds the porn centerfold up in front of him again. Such an 80s thing as well, that, like, dusty porn magazines, like, just being found and
because it dropped off the truck at one point when they were driving through.
Yeah, because when they find the eggs, he's like, a kid comes in, like I don't know, the guy looks like 30, but the older man's like, damn, I hate teenagers. Like, that was not a teenager. Comes in and is like, I'll take this, and I think he takes one or two of the eggs, and then he takes a load of porn mags, and he's like, I'm off then.
Yeah, because the old guy runs like some weird sort of junk shop.
Yeah,
Which leads into an important question. Helena, which pinball machine was that?
I couldn't identify it. I did try.
I didn't even notice a pinball machine.
How could you not notice the pinball machine? It was
I'm not
right
you.
there. It was in multiple shots.
Not you. Didn't notice the pinball machine. Was anyone playing it? Was there ever like a shot of someone only playing it and they were the only person in the shot?
No, it was
there
in the background of...
There
Will
were
not
shots
recognise
where
it.
it was like right in the middle. Like they'd
Will
actually
not.
hired it as a prop.
Will not see it.
Actually, it was the 80s, so they probably just found it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
There were
probably
enough
in that
living
shop.
mistakes at that time. Sorry, El. I have a bit of a thing for pinballs.
No, that's fair. Everyone's got to have something. I'm surprised that shop is still standing, to be honest. Because it's like he'll quite happily just go out and leave the heater running on where there's like loose straw and
True.
wood hazards all
even if he
around.
hadn't got ransacked by aliens, he should have had a fire. But
Especially
yeah,
with
it's
all
that
the weird
hoarder
shit you have
vibes,
hanging
isn't
up.
it? But I've been to like antiques and sort of antiques in inverted commas, junk shops like that, and they are still about. Yeah, they have. It was almost like seeing that was kind of nostalgic for me, because it's like I used to have to go to places like that with my dad sometimes, to buy pinball machines, and they have like a weird, like distinct sort of dusty furniture polishy kind of smell, and I could see the image, I could kind of smell the room.
Yeah, it's not quite the same as like the old bookshop smell that everyone loves.
No, it's not like a good smell, it's just distinctive.
Oh yeah.
I like that smell. I like that smell of like, it smells like wood.
Dusty wood, cigarettes, and sometimes like
wood
gas or
polish.
kerosene or polish from those fires as well. So a lot of these places won't have mains electricity, or like in England, there's like not decent enough wiring that you'd be better off having like
heater.
a gas. You'd have a little gas heater with a tank instead.
Yeah, no, there's a place like that near me, kind of in the middle of a group of villages, and I love that smell. I remember that smell as a kid. Weird places,
Short-lived,
though.
because now I think it smells like blood.
Yeah, most likely, because he does get his foot
gets
eaten off. Yeah.
That's how you
And
get
the dog gets eaten.
The dog does. Yeah, that was like a very 80s horror movie, though, is they killed the dog. They don't do that as much anymore.
Yeah, because then you get flagged on Does the Dog Die?
Yeah, this is the problem.
I'm curious as to how his eaten corpse managed to answer the door.
Yeah, and how it looked much
Yeah.
less eaten at that stage. Especially considering when you see the critters eat things in other times, they're literally like skeletons with bits of meat hanging off of them. Although I guess he was only gotten by about 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, not the big rolling bowl of them.
Yeah, I guess they were kind of eating the tummies first. At least with the... Oh, yeah, so the critters hatch in the churchyard where they were laid out as part of the Easter egg hunt, and they kill the man dressed as the Easter Bunny.
The
That's-
sheriff.
They go for the groin because he hasn't got his zipper up.
Exactly. So they eat him from the inside of the rabbit costume out, and then he jumps through a church window.
Yes.
I'm surprised that not more people are happier to be out of church for any reason.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Especially
just
if
cut
there's
the sermon
aliens
short.
attacking.
Nah, small American town, they've got nothing else to do. Because he does say, doesn't he? He does say that you're the first time you've been resurrected is when you're back here in church. Because it's Easter, because they needed a reason for everyone to have eggs. Only reason it's set at Easter.
And there's the one guy in the church that's just like, oh, I haven't seen you since Christmas.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, well,
that
that's
would be the other
always
one.
like a dig that you have at like church the people that only go for the holidays rather than the regulars.
Yeah, the people that only get seasonal guilt, and not weekly. Was that before? I remember this film, bits of this film, but I cannot put it in order. Was that before or after? Because there's a little girl in it.
Oh, so she's quite early on where
her dad gets her an egg.
Yeah, that's before this.
Is that before? Okay, because that was
I really was like, oh shit, are they going to kill a girl? Are they going to kill this little girl in front of us?
That's before it even eats the guy who owns the junk shop, right?
Yeah, because she's got a cold and bloody blah.
The grandma that buys the eggs off the junk store guy, she buys them to use at church for the Easter egg hunt, but she gives one to this girl, along with the most disappointing snack, carob chocolate bunny.
Yes, because she says, "Oh, it's chocolate." She goes, "It's not."
Isn't she?
Yeah.
In one of the more annoying ways you can be, I think.
Yeah, no fun. You're not allowed to have anything taste nice.
Yeah, it's the it's the fact when she's like, "Oh, it's chocolate." She's like, "It's better than chocolate. It's fake chocolate." Oh. With the girl, little girl, because it's the whole like thriller of setting up of like, oh, this girl's trying to sleep and there's a critter hatching and crawling across the floor. And then the dad stands on it and goes, "Oh, sorry about your Easter egg." There's like green goo on the floor. And he just went, "Well, sorry about your Easter egg." I'd be like, the hell is this?
It's dark, and maybe he thought it was filled with fondant.
Maybe it's like an old cream egg.
Yeah, like a cream egg.
I mean, it is the 80s. We had all weird colours for foods then.
Yeah, I was going to say, at that point, wasn't it like E numbers are best numbers?
You're just like, here's your purple ketchup with your green chips. That's fine.
I've never seen green goo that is edible. Normally that is...
What about those Halloween cream eggs?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't like cream eggs, so I don't eat them.
Or the ill-advised McDonald's Shrek shake, where it was an ogre load of taste. Just with one of the smirkiest pictures of Shrek. It's just like, oh, you did something to this. I don't want to touch it.
This has got more than...
Did that happen in the UK? I think that was the age when I wasn't really allowed to have McDonald's.
I think it was probably the States.
Yeah, we don't get like full-blown marketing in like McDonald's and stuff. We get like, oh, you get a toy and like there's a printed picture on your cup. We don't get like the full experience because no one in England would stand for that.
No.
No, it's not worth it.
Speaking of restaurants, the Critters open a Subway. Because they take over the restaurant chain.
They do.
Oh, I love that. Everything. That was my favourite scene. Was all of the critters all chowing down on like not just on the meat, but on the the salad,
throwing
and there's just
stuff
like bits
everywhere.
of lettuce flung everywhere. But oh my god, the little critter that falls in the deep fat fryer.
It's horrifying.
It was so cute, but it was like, no, get out of there. I was kind of, I was immediately team critter. Because it sounded from the start of this film, when the way they were talking about being sent, like they had to go and... Now that you've mentioned, Al, about how they were from prison originally, I didn't know that. So I was like, why are they trying to genocide these critters? Like, that's really...
evil.
Yeah, like they were billed as hyper-intelligent omni-carnivores. It's like, you can't
well,
let
that makes sense. So maybe we should not let them... But then it was like, well, why are they trying to get... All they want to do is eat.
Yeah, but they'll eat everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
They need to be stopped.
But anyway, I thought they were quite cute.
I mean, a general sort of porcupine echidna vibe.
I like the way they were able to shoot shoot out their spikes.
Yeah, when they needed to. It looked like someone just firing a nail gun.
Yep.
And it fired at the... Because the girl's dad is hiding in his office, and he's like put all of his stuff against this wall because there's a critter trying to break through, but behind him is just a big glass window and a big glass door, and I'm like... Why didn't the critter just go round? But as they're escaping, he gets shot by one of the critters, like, right in the neck.
I thought it was... Yeah, it reminded me very much of Bullseye from the Daredevil movie.
Yeah.
That does also come up in the first one. I don't know why I didn't suggest to watch the first one instead, but...
No, this is funny.
This is the first time we've had someone recommend that we go straight in with the sequel.
We should watch the first one at Halloween.
We'll watch the first one at some point.
Yeah, is the first one set in a specific holiday?
Not that I know of, because I think it's just a generic 2-year time gap between.
Yeah. Oh, it's an Easter movie as well, then.
If it's a massive Gremlins rip-off, we can do it at Christmas.
Yeah.
Because that sets up basically tying the plot together for the first one, is that the kid, Brad's dad, gets shot with one of those quills, It's just like, well, we're surrounded by critters. You need to sneak out and get into town and get some help.
Oh,
And that's when he runs into the bounty hunters who are just like, we don't understand Earth. Here is a church. Bang, bang.
The bounty hunters, when they're like reintroduced to the main guy in this one, it's so bizarre because his house. So his grandma is the healthy eating nut. Is being attacked by critters. He runs back and he's like, it's the whole thing of like, the critters are attacking, and the best line in the film, which is, no shit.
Yeah, no shit, Bradley.
No shit, Bradley.
No shit, Bradley. Best line in the film.
Especially because she's like this church-going granny.
Yeah, she's
health
like
nut.
this really nice health nut.
I don't know. I think I would give best line to another honourable mention. Just the best one-liner you could have is just the old sheriff from the first movie coming back. It's just, I'm back.
Oh, yeah.
After he shoots the shit out of a bunch of critters.
Yeah, it's like, that is your action hero line. Just, I'm back. Yeah, great, cool. We'll run it, whatever.
Sad none of us none of us three recognized him, so it completely lost all of its power.
Yeah,
it's like,
it
cool.
took me a little while to work out who he was and why it was important they spoke to him.
Yeah, it makes more sense now that that's a cool line now that I know. But yeah, they're looking for a remote control contactor to contact the aliens, and then they just turn up. They just knock on the door.
Well, they were already there. They'd already been sent by...
No, I know, but it's just great timing.
Yeah, because they open the door with an explosion, right?
Yeah, it's such like 80s film timing of like, well, they just happened to be there.
So I knew that the critters were, well, I pretty much assumed that they were aliens, but I was not expecting when we first sat down to watch this. Yeah, it starts in space, and I was like, is this film set in space?
It's a lot of sci-fi.
Is this like a Red Dwarf kind of thing? I assumed the critters were going to be on Earth, and then obviously we sort of...
It goes to Earth. I thought it was like one of those very, very, very 80s action movie standard, which is, first one is very like normal, set on Earth. Second movie is in space, which is like standard action, like cheap action movie fare. So I was like, cool, this is Critters the space movie. Then it wasn't, and I was a little bit disappointed. So I'd have loved to have seen like Jason X, but it's Critters in space.
I thought that like there was going to be more aliens because there's so many aliens in the fridge in their ship.
Yeah, all of their bounties. I
think that was just more like promotional material for the Kyoto brothers, who like make all of the critters.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, look, we don't just do furballs, we also do tentacly things and
lots of other cool things. Yeah. Now back to the furballs.
It's also following like the horror movie progression, not the action movie one. So movie number 4 is when they go to space. Number 5 is when they go back to the hood.
Of course.
Oh no.
Let's never watch that one. That one I feel like I don't have to watch that one to know that it's aged poorly. That's what I'm gonna say.
Is it as good as Leprechaun in the Hood?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen it. It was mostly a Leprechaun joke.
So, in the movie, they then plan to... Yeah, there's a hamburger factory, and they plan to lure them there and blow them all up.
Before that, we have like the weirdest massacre on film I've ever seen, which is the burger joint massacre when the two
when the bounty hunters are shooting them all.
Horrifying. Like, that's legitimately horrifying.
And like the erecting of their weapons was really sexual in just in a very unnecessarily phallic way.
That whole sequence was just awful. It was just horrifying. I hated it because
I thought it was hilarious.
The screaming is so like genuinely hot, like sounds like people are being killed. It's awful. And then the one in the fucking deep fryer is frying. It's awful.
Yeah, they shoot the hair off of one.
To be fair, that was good because he looks in the mirror. He says like a really 80s line, and I can never remember what it is.
It was like looking good or nice or something.
I think it was bitchin'.
Bitchin'. That was it. I remember goes bitchin'. He knows that one knows what film he's in. The rest of them are actually dying. He's having a good time.
Yeah, I feel like from watching some behind the scenes stuff that the critters get more lines in Critters 1.
I think they also used that opportunity more than they had in the first one. Because there's definitely a lot more speech that you can understand from my memory. Like, you can just hear them go, ah.
Yeah, like the sounds they make, but they didn't have them subtitled as much.
Oh yeah, they had the subtitle line, but there's one scene where I think a critter is trying to break through a door, and you can just hear, fucking shit,
Yeah, sneaking in those extra swears. Because, PG.
Aiming for PG.
So...
Aiming for PG.
Yeah,
it was actually rating. The Nan. It was the Nan that stopped the PG rating. That wasn't scripted.
They just couldn't stop her from saying it. That's such a good idea.
Wasn't the gore, wasn't the tits, it was just a Nan swearing. Yeah,
oh, can't have Nan swearing. What if it catches on?
Yeah. All these old ladies
Nans across
swearing.
The country.
Yeah. Then, the only other thing in this film that, really kind of... I think it was funny. I think it was so funny. And I feel like it was unintentionally funny, and it's just kind of like one of those blips in writing, was when they're at the church, the critters attack, and they're he screams to go back into the church, because the little girl's outside.
Oh, she's on her tricycle.
Yeah, she's just going away on a tricycle.
Go back in, and everyone goes back in, and then it cuts to the girl on the tricycle running away from the church.
Cycling away.
Cycling away.
Tricycling
with
away.
Critters chasing her, and it's just in the shot before you see her go into the building, and I loved that so. I was
something
laughing
got
so
cut
much.
And muddled, and then they were like, "Oh fuck it, who's paying attention at this point?"
No, it was it felt so half-assed, but in the best way, and it was so funny just watching her.
Also, the pace at which she's cycling.
The pace of this film is so slow for how thriller it's supposed to be.
But yeah, she's sort of. It's like she's. It's part of the Easter egg hunt. She's just cycling away
I'm amazed the critters have enough wherewithal to think that they need to match the girl's pace rather than beat them, because they were shown keeping up with a truck.
Yeah, they got any speed
they
want.
Yeah, it's not consistent.
Depends on how fast they pull the string or how fast they roll them off camera.
Well, a lot of it is they it's reversed footage.
You can fully see the string quite a lot.
Yeah, you can see the strings in a lot. Or I'm imagining just a bunch of people standing off camera holding them, and they're like, go, throw them.
I don't normally actively seek out behind the scenes stuff, but I needed to see the wide shots of them in action. I wanted to see the crew yeeting these tufty balls off the side to get them to roll down the hill. And I saw one of with the puppet action, and it was a brilliant shot because it's they've not put the sound on, so it's just when they're capturing the video, and they've got this guy with his hand up a critter's as a puppet, but he's also controlling the eyes. So you've just got these it's when he's being electrocuted on some wire, and they're the director's going eyes open, eyes shut, eyes open, and he's just this is close, sort of they're obviously not face acting, but just being
really casually.
Great. And then they're cut, we've got it, great, and everyone's yay. But there's a very surreal, I think it's part of the marketing, but it's on YouTube, is this behind the scenes for Critters 2, that's sort of done, I don't know if it was as a video extra clip or something that you'd have at the end. I don't know if that sort of started with DVDs, but anyway, or if it was promotional, but it's a fake news reporter going around, but he keeps on the story of the behind the scenes clips that he's doing is that he's fed up with his crew, keeps sort of dissing them and saying that they're shit, and that he snuck off to try and get some better shot, better look on the inside, and better speaks to the Kyoto brothers, talks about the critters, and does some sort of normal journalist stuff, and then at the end he's well, you can't see it, but I'm perfectly safe, and then he gets attacked and killed by a critter at the end, who then does a little interview.
That's so weird.
They put a lot of effort into this behind the scenes thing, but it was weird that they decided that it had to be so story driven instead of just telling you how they did it and the puppet work and stuff.
That was probably two people who were really bored on set. There was probably a group of people that were told, you need to do the behind the scenes video, and they were like, all right, we'll do it.
He's kind of got, all gas, no brakes. He's kind of got the suit and the little microphone with the Channel 5 kind of little hat on it.
That was fully done by a group of people who were told to make the behind the scenes, and they just went, okay, let's do it
Can we also do it as a project for film school?
No, they didn't ask to do it as they definitely didn't ask anyone else if they could do it a news show. They just did it, and everyone was like, yeah, sure. We don't have anything else.
They held on to it just long enough that they couldn't say no. Just like, it's got to get out the door, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just don't tell it. They don't show it until it's like the day before it's got to go out.
Yeah, it's like I get. Well, once all the filming's done, you can't shoot more behind the scenes, so you don't even have to wait for it to be nearly done. You just have to wait for the shooting to be finished to be like, we did it like a news show.
But I do reckon it is quite funny watching. It doesn't tell you a great deal, but it there are some interviews on it, and it is very funny at the end where because obviously it's not a proper Critters thing, so it is just very clearly someone with a puppet whacking him in the face.
It sounds pretty fun. I might check this. I might try and find this after the
I'll give it to you, Dan. You can put it in the show notes for anyone who doesn't want to watch Critters 2 but wants to see how it was made.
Yeah,
it's got exactly the same vibe as the film.
But if you don't watch the movie, you don't get that awesome repeated theme song for the restaurant with the Hungry Heifer.
The music in this film is like, I swear all of the films like this share the same music.
Yeah, it's the same sort of late 80s horror action movie music. I know what you mean.
I bet it's identical.
Music.
Yeah.
Do you know the score and all the the setups and the spikes and stuff? I think that there's like a folder somewhere that's just like, here's all of the music from Gremlins, use it in any film, because that's what it felt like. None of this music felt like it was made for this film.
You're right, yeah, it didn't always match perfectly, but it felt close enough.
Yeah, it was just use everything, which again makes sense because probably couldn't afford a music person, a composer to come in and write music for it.
I mean, realistically, close enough is about what you'd want from this film.
This whole film is close enough. Everything about it is close enough. The Critters
you've only got $4 million, so
yeah, you only make 3. That's still insane to me that it made less. It's so rare for films to make less than they're made for. Like that's like it's so rare because for like a film to not make a profit, it needs to make less than double. But normally it makes more than its budget. That's insane.
You'd want to at least break even, but yeah.
Yeah, like I guess franchises back then were just a lot harder to kill.
I mean, to be fair, it was up against some very stiff competition on release weekend.
Yeah?
It went up against Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that old.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's the third in the trilogy of the Fellowship of the Tomatoes and the Two Tomatoes.
Get out.
Yeah, I guess because now if a film doesn't make its money back, it doesn't make more than double its budget, triple its budget, it's considered an utter failure and will kill a franchise before it starts. Back then, no, it's like, I lost $1 million. I guess we'll make another one. Hope that one makes it back.
I guess we'll get Leonardo DiCaprio and we'll aim for a PG with the third one.
No, let's aim for you. Let's aim for Universal for the next one.
Well, yeah, that's why they're going to get Aardman in to make it all out of clay. So what's an M rating in Australia? Is that mature?
Yeah, it is a 15.
Oh, 15.
It's
a
a recommended 15. Because we have also the MA 15+, which is restricted to 15.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering because it was an M when it came out in Australia.
So it's G for really, general audiences, really everyone.
Not suitable for 6-year-olds.
I do with all of that.
Were you like a boisterous child? Was it like, oh god, we said that they can have it, we can't go back now, or did they just not care?
I think I am much more emotional and outgoing now than I ever was as a kid. That's really saying something.
This will keep them quieter for longer. If we just let them watch this horror movie, it will be fine.
It's like, they're probably going to be fine. They haven't shown any outbursts yet.
Yeah, they'll be fine. You get the hour and a half while they're watching the movie, and then you get the few hours of stunned silence.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Did you watch it a lot?
Did you watch it once, realised your mistake? I watched it once and it sort of sunk into my memory for the next 30-odd years.
Okay. I was very much one of those kids that would watch the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah, just as well. They didn't let me have... I don't think I'd have watched this again. I think I'd have probably just cried and been like, there's no princesses. This can fuck off.
I've never been that kind of person.
If someone gave me a little stuffed critter toy, I might have been more into the film. Quite easily swayed at that age.
Yeah, no, I've never been able to like rewatch or reread something without it being gone from my memory. Like I know how it ends, I can't enjoy it.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, yeah, I could have rewatched it in like a gap of 5 to 10 years.
So had you not seen this since you were 6 then, or?
I did watch it again for Halloween a couple of years ago because I specifically asked like my movie buff friend. It's like, give me a list of all the cheesiest, crappiest, shittiest horror movies.
Yeah, we've done that. We've had Halloweens like that before. Yeah.
It's great. It's a good time.
It is.
It's kind of testament to the design as well that you can make at least an interesting movie for under $12 billion or whatever movies are going for these days.
Yeah, and it's clear where the budget went, and it went on the not the Gremlins. Whoops. It went on the Critters.
Definitely didn't go on the Gremlins.
It probably did in the lawsuits.
Yeah, well, there's that. But the rest of the costumes are so funny. Like obviously everyone in 80s garb is fine because whatever. But the bounty hunter suits absolutely killed me, especially the human guy that's a bounty hunter, Charlie, and he just has what looks like some plastic packaging and a straw, like a blue straw on a jumpsuit.
It's like, what is that even for? He doesn't need like extra blood to live or something.
It's just to keep him hydrated. It's just a camel pack. But yeah, the black plastic on his back just killed me because they hadn't like dressed it up. They hadn't even like painted it.
Yeah, I get the feeling that that was just we have a quote unquote costume department, which is 3 people make these suits.
Yeah,
everyone else could wear what they wore to come in. Everyone they have to have something made.
Then right at the end of the movie, like after you get the big blowing up of all the critters in the factory and they do their death roll and whatnot, Charlie gets the promotion to sheriff because the position mysteriously got eaten. Mm-hmm. And it's just like...
It's because he because there was the really nice explosion of I did like that real explosion where they blew up the hamburger place. But then as they roll away, Charlie sacrifices himself with a suicide bombing in the spaceship into
it's so sudden. That ending, that second part ending is so... quick and sudden. It's so funny. It has the same energy as the girl riding away on the tricycle.
Yeah.
Where it just kind of cuts and this thing is happening.
But then in the morning, Charlie comes back, and like you say,
he managed to parachute. Yeah, he got parachuted out.
Yeah.
Well, he managed to parachute himself out, which I'm glad. I'm glad they didn't kill him.
Yeah, because it was really weird the route they were going down of the faceless bounty hunter was going to take over Charlie, and everyone was like, yeah, I guess this is Charlie now, it's fine.
Well, I thought it was like they finally found a body they were comfortable with, which I thought was quite cute. It's a shame that it was a dead person, but then it turned out to be a not dead person, but that might be worse, because like I'd be pretty upset if someone was like, I'm going to be you.
Yeah, it's like honouring their memory, I guess. But yeah, it's like he gets the promotion to sheriff. It's like, I knew being a cop in the US was pretty easy, but that's a bit ridiculous.
I mean, he's an ex-drunk. That's all the qualifications you need.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably worse cops out there.
Well, they needed to set up for a third film because clearly this film was going to make a load of money. Obviously.
So my favourite prop for this whole film, we sort of touched on it, was the death roll. The critters they explode the hamburger factory, and then it turns out what happened is they all sort of compacted in on each other and make this sort of meatball of critters.
Yeah, the big ball.
Which interchanges between a very lumpy, furry, full of critters ball and then essentially a giant patchwork quilt with no texture on it.
Got a roll. Someone's got to be pushing
it. That they use for the longer shots and the scenes with the car in. Absolutely killed me because they look nothing like each other. And it was very funny. Going straight for the church to eat all the kids.
Oh, that's where all the deliciousness is anyway. They still got the chocolate on the grounds. Or carob, I guess.
So, out of 10. Giant carnivorous...
Tumbleweeds.
Furry ball?
Furry tumbleweed. What would you give this film?
It is tricky because technically I have rated it on my previous watch, but in rewatching it, I think I might have been too generous.
Yes, good to know it goes down.
Yeah, so I think I will give this 5 hungry heifers out of 5.
5 is quite high.
Out of 5?
5 out of 10.
Cool. Slightly more reasonable.
5 is quite high. That's very... What was it before? Is 5 is your...
It was an 8.
Wow.
Oh wow, yeah. Okay.
I enjoyed this film though. Like I can see where an 8 would come from. Like especially if you're reviewing it literally the second after you watched it, because it has like some really clear good vibes, and I was actually quite gripped, and I found myself surprised that I actually wanted to know what happened next. While this film, like the end of the plot was sort of playing out, like Dan, I did get pretty gripped once they revealed that the what I thought was going to be the big final boss was in fact the alien disguised as a critter instead.
Yeah, exactly. It was at that point that I was like, oh, this is actually they're using their power to do something with the critters. Like, you know, this is actually and yeah, from that point I was really enticed.
So for the last 5 minutes of the film.
So for that reason, I'd give it 4 carob Easter bunnies out of 10. Like I had nothing, like no nostalgia or anything for it, and no nostalgia really for like the time period it was set in. But I liked the set. I liked the costumes, and I did actually quite like Bradley. He tries to be a good guy. He's quite brave at the end, volunteering after he's knows how bad things are, and it was pleasant enough to watch. Like the gore was so bad that it wasn't gross because the blood was such a vivid pink, and then when they explode the factory as well, it's like, oh yeah, that's not blood, that's ketchup.
Yeah, I had a really good time watching this actually. It was sort of, to start with, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this that much, but yeah, as it was going along, I really liked the critters in general, just like cute little furry balls of death. They were great. So yeah, honestly, I think, because I reviewed this straight after watching it, I would also give this a 5 out of 10. 5 subway chains ran by critters.
They're messy.
They are very messy. But so are Subways when you eat them. So this episode is not sponsored by Subway.
No. Bleep all of those. They don't need. They can pay for it. I think I did not like this film. 3, 2.5 to 3 out of 10.
To pick.
2.5. 2.5 swearing nans.
Yeah.
Out of 10.
She stole the show a little bit, didn't she?
She did steal the show. I think that's like the thing. I just found this really boring and really difficult to watch. With like funny bits, but they felt unintentional. Like the tricycle scene. Tricycle. Yeah, just that floored me, but it clearly wasn't deliberate.
I don't know. I thought it was. I feel like maybe when it was shot, it wasn't deliberate, but the choice to keep it in.
I don't know. I just this film is. It feels like it drags on. From like a technical standpoint, I feel like everything.
It's because you've watched quite a lot of good and bad horror that you
are
in a better position. Yeah, you're kind of in a better position to judge and critique it. Whereas I'm like, it made me laugh, so I was slightly more impressed.
I don't know. No, I just think it's just too slow. I think that's the problem with the era, and
it's only an hour and 25, isn't it?
Yeah, but it feels like so much slower, and stuff happens quite randomly. I don't know. I think it lost a lot of the charm the more it went on. But it is a very charming film. It has that like really cheap B-movie film that I quite like. But the actual like everything else about it lost its charm for me, and I don't really know why.
Maybe you need to watch Critters 1 and 3 and the prequel.
Critters 3 and
4 and 5.
Oh yeah, in 5 they go to space.
They do go to space.
In 4 they go to space, in 5 they go to the hood.
I'm not going to watch the 5th one.
And the 2019 Netflix TV series, apparently.
Oh, yes, of course it was made in 2019. Of course it was made in 2019. That I love. That's brilliant. No, that's put it up to a 3. The fact that they're still making it and Netflix are involved, no, that gets a 3.
Well, I guess with that, I have been Dan.
I have been Michael.
I've been Helena.
And I have been Elle.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Elle. Where can people find you?
Mostly online. If you look for me, I am very hard to find, even though my name is easy to spell. It is the letter L. I do a podcast called Check This Out, where it is just people recommending things they like and telling people why they should like it.
Nice. I'll put a link tree for you in the description as well, so people can find all your stuff. You can find this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at HiltonPod. That's at HILTM Pod. We're on Discord as well if you want to hop in there and chat to us. Recommend some movies. Let us know what you thought of Critters 2, but not Critters 1. We don't want spoilers. Hey, this is Dan just at the end of the episode to say, since recording this, we have actually set up a Patreon. If you'd like to support the show, please sign up to the Patreon. I'd like to thank our Patreons so far. We have Elle, who you have just heard on this episode. We have Jordan, Helena, and Reese. So thank you very much for your support, and there'll be links in the show notes. Thank you.